with movement. This is a foam roller. It's a 360 degree roller, and it's 36 inches long, which means it's a full circumference and it's 3 feet long. And it's a high density roller. I feel like it holds the shape better, and it's the most used homework tool in my studio. So even little kiddos use it, and 90-year-old clients use it, grandmas use it. And so it runs the gamut. I even have clients who travel a lot that get a smaller version so that it fits in their carry-on, and they can do smaller things once they arrive to their destination. We're just going to do a short little routine on this today and take some of those fundamentals that you've been learning in the fundamental series and put them on the roller. The roller will act as a proprioception tool so that you feel your spine processes a little bit more, getting a better awareness of where the spine lays. It also adds a challenge because it's a wobble surface, and so it adds a little bit more challenge to the fundamentals. So if you haven't had a practice feat of the fundamentals just on the mat, please start there, and then you can get fancy on the roller. So my suggestion is don't get too sexy too soon, all right? So when you sit down on this, you want to look between your legs and not see the roller. And that'll let you have space so that as you come back, the head will be on the roller. And if you don't get that right, you can always do the inchworm down as well. So while I'm here, I have my sacrum on. There is space in my low back. I'm honoring that curve. My rib cage and the spine that runs between my rib cage is on. There is space in my cervical, my neck, and then my head is on. Now the feet would be about 1 fist distance, 1 to 2 fist distances apart. If I go wider, it makes it easier to balance. So again, pick where you need to be. My hands are touching the floor, but I'm not gripping and tensing onto the floor. I still have a space between my upper and lower jaw and my tip of my tongue just behind my 2 front teeth. And I'm relaxing. So, if it's your first time on the roller, you need to learn to trust it. And as adults, we probably haven't gotten down on the floor and played for a while. But the roller's maybe 6 inches off the ground. If you roll off, it's not the end of the world. Worst case, you might have a little bruise, especially if you happen to be by some furniture, but you will survive, okay? All right, so just finding that mat. And as we've been here talking, you can notice that perhaps balancing's become a little easier. The spine is imprinting on its own. And now let's start to find the breath. So in the back, I feel my lungs hug the roller a little bit on either side of that spine. You might even have a greater felt sense of the lateral breath, that space between the arm and the torso filling up. Now, even though my low back isn't touching the roller, I'd like to teach it that it still has a relationship with the roller. So I want to move through pelvic clocks, where 12 o'clock is towards my navel, and 6 o'clock is towards my pubic symphysis or towards the heels. I'm not doing this with my legs, I'm using my abdominal muscles to create that rock in my pelvis. And when I rock back towards 12, my low back touches the roller. And then as I come back towards 6 to that neutral position, it lifts back to what my natural curve is. And everyone's natural curve is different. I like to do pelvic clock because we can play around with the felt sense of flexion and extension in the spine. We can find our pelvic neutral. And you'll see that, my head is moving with my pelvis, even though I'm not consciously telling it to move. The spine is its own kinetic chain, and the pelvis is the pot, if you will, that flower of the spine, that kinetic chain grows out of. And so the positioning of my pelvis affects the positioning of my spine. So let's do one more in each direction, and then we'll meet back to what your neutral is, and your neutral is that point between the two extremes. I'm just going to settle into there. Now balance happens between the hips and the shoulders. So if we drew lines, we refer to that a lot as the box, right? And so that's where stability comes from, is that box. So let's start to bring the hands up and have some movement with the arms and practice a little more balance. So I'm just bringing the arms back so that my eyes just see the thumbs in my periphery, and then I return them back to the start position. At this point I'm staying in the joint and I'm controlling the movement so that my ribs stay on, or that spine that runs between the ribs stays on the roller. And wherever I can control that is where my arms are leading. And it's just a natural breath, one movement still. Sometimes when you first start on the roller, you'll feel some trigger points. I like to say it's similar to getting on your bike for the first time in spring. You know how your bottom's a little sore? Sometimes you feel that on the spine or wherever the roller has been touching the body. It's okay. Trigger points feel like a bruise or a little piece of macaroni that's in the muscle. And we want to let those go. All right, so this next time, let's have the palms face each other, and inhale, you'll open out towards the side, and then draw it back up. And I'm a little close to the wall, so I'm just gonna bend my wrist and my arms so I can still get that full opening and back, but hopefully you'll be someplace that you can extend both arms straight. You can feel how the shoulder blades even hug the roller a little bit in that open position. Okay, let's do one more. Good, so now let's start to add this together. So the arms will go back. They come out to the side as if you're carrying a platter, and then they'll come back up. So we're making these circles on either side of the body. Let's do one more here. And then let the arms fall at your side. So now let's move into some of those knee folds where you inhale, get the full inhale in, and the pause, lift the leg up just over top of the hip, and then exhale, lower it back down. And we'll stick with that same leg. Full inhale in, then take on the load of the leg, and exhale, half of it's out, and then you lower the leg back down. Inhale, hold the breath in, lift the leg up, exhale, let half of that air out, and lower it back down.
2 more in this leg, and then we'll switch legs. Notice if you started to bring some tension into the shoulders, neck, and jaw, and ask yourself why, and see if you can let it go. All right, more balance comes from the box. All right, so shifting legs, full inhale in, take on the load, half the exhale out, and you lower it back down. One more time. So now we'll work those knee folds in the other direction. So we'll start from tabletop and we'll work down and lift up. And then you'll move to the other leg, it'll go down and lift up. All the while you're still maintaining that neutral pelvis, neutral spine. And then bring it down and rest. All right, so now let's practice our head nod. So you'll nod the chin towards the chest and up. And notice how the only thing moving is the skull, is the cranium. Little teeny nod, yes. And that little teeny nod is the start of our neck curl. So we nod the chin towards the chest, we lift into the neck curl, we feel the low back drop down onto the roller, and then we return back and unnod the chin back to neutral. So it starts with a nod, then we curl up, get rid of all that air, and then we lie back down and bring the head back to neutral. Let's do this 3 more times. So now that we've had that, let's begin to just roll off the roller to one side. And bring it up so that it starts just about at those tips of shoulder blades, about where your heart rate monitor would go, and lie back and get a nice stretch for the chest. Everything's completely supported. If the head's a little uncomfortable, you might need a towel underneath the head. It's a nice passive way to get a stretch where you're supported by the roller. You could stay here 2 to 5 minutes. Now to come out of this, you'll fill up with the in-breath. Hold the in-breath in, nod the chin towards the chest, and roll up. Now we'll take the roller and come to bridge, so it'll go underneath the knees. And you'll lift into bridge and place the roller underneath the pelvis. And I like to leave my hands on the roller. I feel like it helps keep it still for me. And I'm on the pelvis versus the spine. And I have my feet in butterfly position with the knees out to the side. Getting a nice stretch or opening now through the center. Again, you could stay here for 2 to 5 minutes. Because we're doing a video, it'll be shorter. But you could always pause the video and then use your device to set a timer. Siri or Alexa are great at those, doing those for you. Once you've been here with the legs in butterfly, you could take the legs straight, get a little deeper stretch if that works for you. And then bring both knees up so that they're over top of the roller. And we'll slowly sway the legs from one side to the other. And you can see it's not a huge movement. Maybe about the distance of 1 to 2 fists in width. And then let the knees come down and find the feet to the floor. We'll move into into heel slides. So we'll slide pressing down into that heel as it goes all the way out and stretches out of the hip, and then drag it back up. So the heel presses into the floor, into the mat, and it stretches out of the hip, and then you slowly and lightly drag it back. And just pick one leg and stick with it right now. And then move to the other side. Again, that heel is pressing into the floor and stretching out of the hip, and you lightly drag it back. And then when you lift up, you'll slide the roller underneath the knees, come all the way down, and just take a moment to check in and notice how the spine feels on the mat. Notice the imprinting here. Remember, imprinting isn't forcing our spine into a particular shape. It's just noticing that when we support the spine, where tension is and how the longer we wait, the tension releases from the spine, and we can feel our natural curves more easily. When you're ready to come out, you'll take one arm up over side and you'll press up. Hopefully you can see why the roller is the favorite homework piece in the studio. I tell my clients this, if you are in your 20s, try to be on the roller 2 times a week. If you're in your 40s, try to be on 4 times a week. If you're in your 50s, 5 times. If you're in your 80s, be grateful you can get on it every single day and be on it. So whatever your decade is, that's how many times to get on the roller. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it, we age, and as we age, our tissues dry up, and we need to keep them pliable to keep that circulation and fluids moving in our body. And the roller is a nice way to get some proprioceptive feedback and to have that happen. It's just a great tool to have at home to use. And I hope you enjoy exploring the roller. I'm sure that I'll make more videos for you with the roller as well. As always, I'm so grateful that you support My Life's Passion. I hope these videos you're finding support you and your life. Thank you.